Welcome to Gardening with the Gardeners, a podcast where we discuss our favorite plants, gardens, landscape design, and all things horticulture, with a touch of our crazy homestead lifestyle thrown in.
I'm one of your hosts, Matthew Boone Gardner, a horticulturalist, landscape designer, and fourth-generation owner-operator of Boone Gardner Landscape.
And I'm Hope Gardner, Matt's wife, a horticulturalist at our local county extension office, as well as a landscape designer with the family business. And together, we make up Gardening with the Gardeners.
Okay.
Love is in the air. It's February.
Yes, it is. Episode number 11.
Well, I want to go back to talking about February a little bit more. Because I like February. I have my birthday. We have Valentine's Day.
Yes.
There's a lot of fantastic things that go on in February.
Even though it's cold and wintry.
I'm looking at the positives.
Yes.
I'm going to focus on the positives. I am not a cold weather fan. So, yeah. I want to think about all the wonderful things about February, not the negative temperatures and the snow and the gray. And
well, we had a nice little teaser of spring there.
We had a wonderful little teaser. I think we even got up to almost 70.
Yes, it was really warm.
For a couple hours at least. I'm going to hold on to that.
The spring peepers were singing on that one day. And for those of y'all that don't know what spring peepers are, they're these little tree frogs that come out, and you hear the sound, you'll know it right away. It's very Kentucky, very this area, but it always is a hallmark to me of spring, and it's something my dad used to always share with me when I was a little kid. So I did hear those one day, and I immediately texted our family group chat about that because I was all excited.
Yes, and then the next day I think it snowed.
Yeah, and then Sunday, yesterday was the meteorologist said it was going to be a snow globe Sunday, and it definitely was.
Monday. And
then today was cold. I don't even think they said it was going to get to 30. I don't think it got out, but yeah. 20s.
When I got up this morning to go take care of farm animals, I looked at the thermometer in the kitchen, and it was 19.
Yeah.
And I really thought I was going to start crying.
Because she's still doing everything outside.
Yep.
My knee is healing, doing good. Actually, I had some rehab. It's been the 3 week mark last Friday, and finally got rehab going. That was late because they were so booked up. I don't know if because everybody had accidents in the snow or what.
Yeah.
And so it's going well, but my therapist did say I need to stay out of the mud and the mire.
I'm
Hope
gonna have
doesn't
to call
believe
him.
me. I'm going to say, call Gary. He'll tell you. I even asked him. I said,
you just want to stay inside and let me deal with all the mud.
No. I feel
I think
bad.
I saw on, I think it was a Facebook reel or something on social media, and it was just kind of a farmer describing what kind of farmer they are, and it's like, I'm a mud farmer. In February,
Literally.
we're mud farmers.
It is insane, especially with the ducks.
Yeah, they do cause a lot of.
And we're kind of letting them go around in more areas than they should be. And
it's nice to have them kind of, watch them waddle around
until
it's adorable.
Until they turn nice grass area into mud.
Until February when everything is muddy.
Mud.
Yep.
So episode number 11.
Yes.
We're going to talk about skunks, moles, voles, and maybe some other critters if we have time.
Yeah. Well, because February is the time that we're most aware of skunks because you walk outside and you smell them.
Well, love is in the air for them too.
Exactly.
So it's just like with the deer rut in the fall, and this is
February is breeding season.
Yeah, and so the skunks, if you guys have noticed, when you're driving on the expressways and roads, and especially out here in the country, I mean, it's depressing how many get killed, but because they litter the highways. They're everywhere. I mean, we drove to Versailles yesterday for our normal Sunday dinner with your family,
yep.
And we must have seen, dozens. It felt like. I mean, they were everywhere. Maybe I don't know.
They are. They are. But they're on the move.
They kind of lose their mind, just like deer do, and they get hit by cars, unfortunately.
Well, I thought it was very interesting when I was doing the research that male skunks can travel up to 5 miles to breed with a female.
That's crazy.
Because the females, they only will leave their den and go maybe a mile and a half at the most. So they kind of stay close to home. But man, those men, they are on the move. The
males are persistent. And I think that's probably why Warner Brothers had it so correct with Pepe Le Pew, the amorous skunk.
Yes.
Everybody thought, why is this skunk this big lover? But, obviously they're
well, there you go.
They're trying to do their thing. You've got them traveling 5 miles to find a bride, if you will. So
exactly. Yeah.
So they are mammals,
Yes.
and they're members of the weasel family. So they're related to like otters and minks,
Minks.
weasels and skunks.
So I might wear a mink coat, but I don't want to wear a skunk coat.
No.
But they're all kind of
Well, then, and in that same family, there's ferrets.
Yes.
I had a pet ferret in college, and did I have was Mackenzie around when you now started?
when we very first started dating.
Yeah.
Yes, you still had her.
It's quite a fun pet, but when you have a domesticated ferret, they do have to be deglanded because they have a strong scent as well. Not as strong as a skunk, but they have to be deglanded to keep them not stinky.
Well, I can remember as a kid, there was a girl in the subdivision across the street from us, and she had a pet skunk.
She had a pet skunk.
She had a pet skunk. They had it deglanded
Really?
so it wouldn't spray.
Like a
And
ferret.
she had, yeah, very much like a ferret. She had it on a leash, and she would walk it through the neighborhood.
They're cute little guys. I mean, they are cute, but they can cause a lot of problems. I know because unfortunately, because we're on a farm, so we see them as a problem. So
Oh, they are a problem. On the farm.
they're a real problem on a farm.
Not just the smell.
No, not just the smell. So
No. So, one of the problems is because they are omnivores. They do eat insects. They can eat both plants and other animals. So
and they'll eat grubs because
They
a lot of
do eat
times
grubs.
they'll dig up lawn like a mole will, like differently, but from the top and
yes,
try to find those
Well,
grubs.
they'll they actually will dig, and they're almost cone-shaped little holes going for the grubs, and that's kind of the shape of their their nose, but they're cone-shaped little holes, and they can absolutely tear up overnight. They can just tear up a lawn if they get
Well, and
a
tell
good
people
patch
how
of
they're
grubs.
one of the bad things for us on our farm. That skunks are not.
Oh, they're terrible
With
for
your-
my honeybees.
yeah, your
They will
honeybees.
sit outside the hives, and they have learned that when they sit out there, they'll scratch with their little claws on the side. And of course, the bees are kind of curious.
Does that
They
kinda
come out
agitate
to-
them, I guess,
yeah,
or something?
It does. And as soon as bees start coming out, flying out to find out what that noise is, they just pick them up and eat them.
No.
They can, just decimate a hive almost overnight.
And years ago, we saw like scratch marks
Oh,
on some of your
yes.
boxes and stuff.
It's usually on the side of the boxes. They'll stay like right at the front corner, and they'll scratch the side, and then the bees come out and they eat them. So that is
Luckily-
not good.
Luckily, we haven't had. Do we talk about Link now or later?
So Link is, we have a wonderful livestock guard dog that lives out at the the back of the property and the farm with all of our primarily with the baby goats is why we have him.
He protects everybody, though.
He does.
He protects the chickens, the ducks, the peacocks. Took him a while to figure out that the chickens were not something for him to play with or pick up.
He does not like any of the primarily like the big birds that fly over, any of the hawks or
Oh, it's amazing.
he just has a fit. But anything like skunks, raccoons, possums, he does not like the deer, and he definitely keeps the coyotes away.
Oh yeah. Anytime
But-
we got coyotes, like a pack of coyotes howling, he'll just
So
start barking.
when we were training him, he was about 2 years old. And I've always laughed because between November and January, so this was not even what we call skunk season, being February, he killed 12 skunks between November and January.
And that sounds awful to some of you guys that may be city dwellers. You're like, oh, why are you killing the little skunks? But
Oh, they're-
unfortunately, again, they would not only get her beehives, but they can get our chickens. They can eat eggs. They can eat our chickens. They can kill. I mean, probably even hurt. Well, the peacocks are probably big enough to get away from them, but maybe
But
not.
they'll
though. I don't
also
know.
eat, the fish out of the pond.
Mm-hmm.
They'll eat our goldfish. They will get in garbage if the food supply is limited. Like if they can't, everybody thinks that raccoons get in the trash, but skunks will actually also get in.
But you didn't mention Link's amazing. You were talking about how he was 2 years old.
Oh,
But
he
he
got
first-
sprayed one time.
one time.
He was so embarrassed. He was mortified when he got
Mortified.
sprayed. And he learned a lesson. And so, believe it or not, now he has learned how to kill skunks without getting sprayed.
He got a skunk the other day and somehow did not spray him.
He's gotten 3 this year already.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, the night that he got that skunk, he did not get sprayed. But we had that skunk spray. It lofted down to the house, and it literally woke me up with like my eyes watering. It was so strong. Believe it or not, when skunks spray, they are very accurate up to 10 feet.
Oh yeah.
Now,
But
when they're
this-
broad spraying,
It's like 20 feet.
Yeah.
Or more. I mean,
It's
and they can
20
spray further than 10 feet. It just that's where
that's
like,
accurate.
Yeah.
If you're 10 feet away,
I've heard they can spring 20, 30. I mean, sometimes you
Yes.
can really go. Yeah.
they'll hit you 10 feet away. I mean,
Yeah.
they are very accurate with their spray. So just, when you walk up on a skunk, just remember if you're closer than that, even 20 feet, 30 feet, they can get you. And it's not pleasant.
No.
No.
So, I guess go back a little bit. They're social animals,
They are social animals.
so
Yes.
they may share a den with several other skunks.
Yes.
Um,
And it
and
depends on how big that den is, but they'll create a den out of like an abandoned fox burrow. They can go under porches. They can get in sheds, piles of lumber.
they're kind of opportunists. They're not really going to
They're
make
not
the
gonna,
hole, but they're
yeah,
going like if a groundhog makes a hole, they may go take up that or a foxhole or
yes,
whatever, right? Yeah.
exactly. But you have to be really careful because you may not expect them to be in a shed, and that might be where they have decided if they can get in there and it's protection,
It's a rude awakening.
it's going to be a very rude awakening. If they're underneath the porch of your house, it can be a very rude awakening because you might startle them and then you're going to get sprayed, and you don't mean to, but they've set up house there.
We talked to their. I think we mentioned they're nocturnal. At least we talked about it because they would get your bees at night. That's
Yes.
when they would get them. They would wake them up by scratching on them.
Yes. So one of the things that I think is very important, and whether we're talking plants or whether we're talking animals, either way, it's important to know what their normal behavior is. I mean, if we go out and we're looking at, say, a tree that is coloring up like fall color in July, you obviously know that that is not normal
It's
for,
stressed out.
and it's a stress, yes. So if you see a skunk that's out during the daytime, that's not their normal behavior. So that's why it's so important, whether it's a plant or an animal, to know what the normal behavior
To know
is
that's nocturnal.
to identify the abnormal
And we'll
behavior.
come back to why it's not normal behavior and why you need to watch them.
Yes. Yes.
So as far as you did discuss, you talked about their mating season is February, and this is what's amazing. They can have 2 to 18 babies,
Yes.
but you said the average is probably 5 to 8, I guess.
Yes, but they can have as many as 18.
That's a lot of babies.
That's a lot of babies. So if they breed in February and then they have all those babies, the babies are going to be born in May and June.
Okay.
So
and
it's
then,
a very short gestation.
and then they're weaned quickly in 2 months.
Yes.
And they're on their own by September.
So by September, they are,
Totally, yeah.
yep, they're on their own. Mom's kicked them out. So, September is another time where you may see them on the move a little bit when they're trying to find their own dens. But really, because they're nocturnal, you shouldn't see them during the day. You shouldn't really see them, traveling a whole lot.
And I guess we already talked about what they ate
Yes.
for the most part.
For the most part, yes. They do like, the grubs, the other insects, but then they, like I said, will eat the fish, other amphibians. They will get our
That's
chickens.
crazy. Eat my frogs. Don't do that.
Yeah, they will. They'll eat your frogs. They'll eat our chickens. They eat the eggs. So yeah, they're very opportunistic.
We probably need to discuss how to minimize skunk damage.
Yes. So when we talked about
If you don't have a Anatoly
shepherd,
Shepherd crossed
Akbash.
with Akbash,
Yeah.
the big Link, our big dog. If you don't have one of those, you need to do some of these things to help mitigate.
yes. So I have my aunt lives down in Versailles, where
Oh,
I'm
gosh.
from, and she loves to feed her cats outside in the garage, and she leaves cat food open like in the garage at night for the cats to eat. They have caught so many skunks.
Again, I think of Pepe Le Pew hitting on the cat. Like the cat's out there
Yes.
feeding, and here comes a skunk.
And the skunk
it's
comes in. So unfortunately, if you do leave cat food or dog food outside at night,
you will totally attract them.
yes, they will them and a lot of other
Possums and raccoons.
raccoons, yes. But you're really just kind of, attracting them. So make sure that you clean up the dog or cat food. Put it in a sealed trash can where they can't get the lid off. We think of raccoons.
And
pulling the
really any
lids.
kind of feeds. So if you have other, like, if you had chicken feed or
Yes.
corn or bird feed, like
They
wild
will
bird,
eat bird
yeah.
feed as well. Yep. Yes. So you want to make sure that all of that extra food is sealed up and kind of out of the way where they can't get to it. It doesn't attract them or bring them in. So, yeah. You're also going to remove those piles of debris and close up any openings under porch and sheds. As, we talked about, they're not going to create their own house. They're going to take advantage of an opportunity. So if you have piles of debris, they're going to just kind burrow down in there. If you've got, porches that are open, they're going to get under that area as well.
And
So
there's
yeah,
there's no chemical repellents or toxicants, which is, I mean, I would recommend those anyways. Registered for controlling skunks in Kentucky, but they are a fur-bearing animal, and so therefore they're protected under Kentucky law.
people don't realize that,
Yeah,
but
you
yes, they
can't just
are.
go, and so you had to have a valid Kentucky hunting license to shoot them. Um, I think we had the farm exemption, and we're not shooting them anyways. The
No,
dog's getting them, so it's
yeah,
different.
we're
But
kind of lucky on that part.
yeah,
But we kind of talked about the importance of knowing what their behavior is, because they are one
nocturnal,
of the main carriers of rabies.
big time.
And I know that we talked about rabies when we, did our episode on the bats, because everybody thinks, bats carry rabies, and they do.
But
But
this is
believe it or
these are
not,
more dangerous
skunks,
than, yeah.
yes, they are. Skunks are more dangerous because they are, out around other animals, dogs, things like that. So if you see those skunks during the day, that's a big telltale sign that something is wrong.
It's not, yeah.
Because they are protected, you are supposed to call like animal control. If you do kill a skunk, you are supposed to tell Fish and Wildlife, I believe,
Your local conservation
the
officer,
conservation,
yeah.
yes, because you have to make sure that they're not carrying rabies. And when you dispose of that dead animal, you have to do it in a way that other wildlife can't get to that. Because if it did have rabies, you don't want, say, the coyotes feeding on that unfortunately dead carcass, and then they get the rabies. So it just
Exactly.
spreads it to other animals. So you are supposed to dispose of that properly. You are supposed to let,
Fish and wildlife.
Fish and Wildlife or conservation officers
Conservation.
know, supposedly know that you have killed one, how that you've disposed of it, just for those reasons, because rabies, there is no cure for rabies. And if you are,
There isn't a cure. I thought you could get those
you
shots.
can
They
get
always
those
talk about.
shots,
I always, like, growing up, I always heard about the horrible
but you have
stomach.
to get that immediately.
What's
You
the
have
shots in the stomach? Is that
yeah.
rabies or is that lockjaw? Or
No,
something? Or rabies causes lockjaw, right?
rabies can cause lockjaw, but yes, you have to get. I think it's a series of 7 shots.
Yeah, as a
in the
kid, it
stomach.
sounded terrifying to get
Well,
these
it
shots
still
in the
is.
stomach. Yeah.
Yes,
And another reason they spread rabies so much is because the high populations that they
There
live
are-
together, and
yeah.
it's kind of funny because we really don't see them that often, except for when they're unfortunately out mating and getting hit by cars, and then you see them everywhere. But you realize how many truly there are
yes.
because they're very good at hiding.
They're very good at hiding. They are warm-blooded mammals. And so, being a warm-blooded mammal, they can transfer that rabies to other warm-blooded mammals. If you think that you have one that has rabies,
Call animal control.
you have to call animal control, because there's certain ways that they have to. Rabies affects the brain, and when they test for rabies, the test can only be done on the brain.
And so, just to review, that would be a skunk that's out in the daytime exhibiting strange behavior. It could be salivating, like we always think of the foaming of the mouth, but that is a trait.
Aggressiveness.
It could be either unusually aggressive or unusually listless and kind of out of it. So I guess that's probably enough on skunks.
Well, I mean, they can be cute animals, but
They are
they're
cute,
certainly
actually.
not pets.
But yeah, you don't, yeah.
And they do cause a lot of damage around the gardens. So, especially because, we talked about when at night, when I go put the ducks away, I'm always out in the dahlia garden at night. And so, because I'm a nighttime gardener, I'm out, and I need to be aware of, that running into a skunk or, what the behaviors are. So, yeah, that's it. So, another animal that we get a lot of discussion about any time of year, really, because just like skunks do not hibernate in the wintertime, believe it or not, moles do not hibernate in the wintertime either.
I think everybody can tell you this year they haven't hibernated because they have been. I don't know what it is, but I have never seen anything like the past year, maybe a year, 2 years, but really, it just seems like the mold damage is so widespread and so massive. I mean, it's hard to believe these guys are as small as they are.
They're only about 5 to 7 inches in
And
length.
we've had our tunnels, I mean, and customers' properties, and I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
they've been out of control.
So people think that
Should
they're
we get
just
to the
going
point?
for the grubs.
Before we go into all our details, should we just go ahead and say right away the punchline.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, there is no easy answer for moles. If I had one,
No.
or Hope had one, we would be multi-millionaires. And
Yeah.
there's a massive multi-million dollar industry based upon mole repellents, and some of them help, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But there is no easy answer, and every client always asks me, "What can I do to get rid of moles?" There is no easy answer.
I mean, there have even companies that just solely their business is to get rid of moles.
And that is honestly, I don't know if we want again jumped ahead, but that's the best way. That and a dog. I mean, dogs will get them. Your dog, but your
Terriers
dog
are
will,
great.
or yeah,
Yep.
our terrier, but she'll get muddy and dirty in the process, and
Well,
tear
and
up
I
your
don't
yard,
really want her.
biting it, and
Yeah.
exactly. Even though there's not really any easy answer or no silver bullet for moles, the one thing I do tell people as a caveat, it makes you feel maybe a little bit better, is it's actually a sign that you have a healthy ecosystem, because you have obviously bugs and things in your soil that they want to eat. Now everybody thinks of grubs, and they do love grubs, but they eat just as many earthworms.
90% of their diet
That's
is
it.
earthworms.
Thank you. And so it shows that you actually have a healthy, because they are part of the natural system, and they do aerate the soil massively, so, but to a fault. But
So yes, moles are an insectivore, so they primarily focus or feed on those earthworms. 90% of their diet would primarily be earthworms.
see, that's wild, because everybody thinks of grubs.
Everybody thinks
Everybody
grubs.
says grubs. They're like, oh, I have moles, it means I have grubs. I'm like,
Well, you might have really good earthworms.
that's why I said that thing about it.
Exactly.
Actually means you have a healthy ecosystem of soil.
But they eat ants, and they eat any other little animal like roly-polies, anything that lives in the soil that's kind of an insect that they are going to eat. So the best time of year to try to control moles is actually in the spring. So just coming up when it starts
And
warming up a
fall,
little
right?
bit. And then in the fall, yes.
Okay.
So the interesting thing is moles don't go dormant. They're still active right now.
Oh, we've seen that.
And yeah, even in the snow, I had molehills pop up. But really what they do is they just go down deeper. So
We've
they,
about twisted our ankles in some of those back there, because they've gotten so deep, and then ours, where that area floods with rain, and I've stepped in, and my whole entire foot, my boot has gone down like to my
oh yes.
well above my ankle.
So they actually have two levels of
That makes sense, because some are like
holes.
massive.
Yes. So the ones that usually are closer to the surface are the ones where they're feeding. Obviously, because that's where most of the insects and earthworms are. But then they will actually go down like 18 inches deep, and that's where they'll have their burrows, and they'll have other path or other tunnels down that deep as well. So when it gets really, really hot in the summertime, they want to go down where it's cooler. So they're going to go down to those lower tunnels.
But I assume the first several inches is probably where most of the insects are.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the
Feeding area.
the feeding area where they're usually in the spring and the fall, and that's what makes it easier for them when you have to trap them.
So like you said, they're generally 5 to 7 inches long. How something so little can do so much damage, it's unbelievable. Their eyes and ears are concealed in their short their velvety fur.
Which, I mean, if you haven't seen one, their fur really is kind of cute. Because
They're
it is-
cute
it's
too. I know
really-
there's so
it's real short,
yeah,
and so it is like velvet.
and that little snout, the little blunt snout they have,
Mm-hmm.
and their little front feet are like little paddles, and so they have those sharp little claws, and that's how they are able to dig and just push that soil away.
Well, they can actually move forwards and backwards in the soil,
It's crazy.
and that's why their
It's
hair,
like they're swimming in soil.
well, that's why their hair is so short because it doesn't have it can go forwards or backwards. The hair does not move depending on the direction that
So it
they're
doesn't
traveling.
create. That makes sense. Doesn't create a friction.
Exactly. And then their back feet are really small because they're doing most of that digging with those big paddle claws in the front. They can burrow up to a foot a minute.
A foot a minute.
A foot a minute.
Okay.
So I mean, you think, Kentucky hard clay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Sometimes our soil is like concrete, and that they can still go, a foot a minute. So for something that's only 5 to 7 inches long, I think that's pretty quick.
Well, it is, yeah. It's
Yes.
a lot of digging. So they're actually antisocial and kind of solitary mammals when they're doing their thing. Just like the skunks, that's kind of appropriate to what we're talking about now. The males and females only come together during February, so this is their mating
This is
season time.
Love is in the air. Yep. This is it. So yeah, they come together. The gestation period is only about 45 days. So then they're going to have between 2 and 6 pups.
So that's a more normal litter as opposed to the skunks.
Yes. They are born hairless and blind. So they stay in their den.
Naked mole rats.
Yep. But they stay in their little nest or their burrow for about 5 weeks. And after that 5-week period, they're on their own.
It's wild.
Really quick. Considering that, I mean, they're born blind and hairless, and they only have 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's it.
And they're gone.
To grow up. Their childhood's over. You're off. You're an adult. And
So they must. Oh yeah.
They only have 1 litter a year. So there's not a lot of reproduction, but if they have,
And they have to be a year old to reproduce.
they do have to be a year old. So they've got to go that full year to kind of actually mature enough. But if those 6, if that litter has 6 pups, those 6 pups go off and then they have to find their own space because, like you said, they are solitary and very antisocial animals. And they will only
They're kind of territorial.
very territorial. So if you have, there's only about like 3 to 5 moles in an acre. So they're only going to have about a fifth of an acre of their very own. So they have to then, they have to go find a fifth of an acre that's not already been taken up by a mole.
Because I have heard this from mole experts, I believe, that the problem is that sometimes if you trap them or get rid of them
Yes.
or shoo them onto another property, that another one will come and replace it.
It will.
Kind of like the coyote problem.
Yes, very much so. And a lot of times, you don't really know, they don't know property lines. So you may have a mole in the backyard and it might share, to create that kind of fifth of an acre, it might share, your neighbor's yard. And it may be, if you're in the back corner, it may have 4 different neighbors' yards that they are encompassing to be that fifth of an acre span that they have. You may have a whole different group in the front yard. So it depends on how big your lot is, and it depends on kind of where their home base is to kind of, you may have more than 1 mole in your yard, but it is going to be just in that certain area. Now, how do you tell, which area that's going to be?
How?
Stomp those the
Tunnels?
stomp the tunnels down as flat as you can get, as many of them in that area. If those
Or active?
are active, they will be kind of they'll be repaired within 24 hours.
They'll
Usually
come
24
right
to
back through
36.
and just retake them.
Well, what happens is you think about, they have all those tunnels that are really deep in the ground. Those that we see are just usually that, 12-inch or I'm sorry, not 12-inch, that 2 to 4 inches in the ground. Those are the ones you're going to stomp. A lot of times they will tunnel through just to find food, and they may not ever use that tunnel again. It's kind of a one and done.
Gotcha.
So if you stomp that down, then you know that that's not active.
Okay.
If it's one that they travel, not seeking food, but just traveling, then they're going to repair it and continue using it. That's the one that you're going to use a trap in or the bait in, or know that that's where that they're still using that one. We can talk about traps if you want. There's a couple different types of traps.
I've never used them myself.
I have to admit, I have seen more of that harpoon trap. It's not my favorite kind. I'm not a big trap person, so
I
I
don't
can't
like
really
any.
say.
Yeah, especially because they're so.
You do have to dispose of the animal, get it out of the trap, and dispose of it. And I think that's where people don't like having to handle that.
It's not very fun.
No,
It's
no.
gross and yeah.
But they're, and even, when you set those traps, it's still not 100% effective. I mean, you may or may not get the poor little guy.
So the harpoon trap is the one everybody sees where it kind of goes down, has the spikes that sit down,
Yep.
and then that you pull up and it's kind of like shoots the thing down like a harpoon.
It's kind of like a guillotine.
yeah,
or
but instead of a guillotine, it's spears going down.
yes.
And then which we don't need to. The directions are on those if you buy them, I guess. But
There are, yeah. But there's the 2 traps.
I mean, they are effective if you're able to get them in the right running tunnel or
Yes.
in an active tunnel.
In an active tunnel, yes.
And then the scissor jaw trap is the other one.
It's going to get them coming down, like, through the tunnel. Like, it's got
Okay.
scissors that kind of close up.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Now, there are, like some people say, there's those chemical bait, like the worms that you stick in the holes.
Yeah, I don't know how much luck people have had with those. I've had several clients that say they haven't had much luck, but I don't know if some people do. Maybe I don't know.
It really depends, I think, on, each individual
It's all
yard.
hit or miss, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And that's
It's
why I say
very,
there's no easy answer for
no.
this.
Now, when you use that product, you still have to remember that that's a chemical, and it has to be used according to the label. And again, we always go back to the label is the law. So you have to use that exactly the way the label says to use it.
The most, or you were going to say something else about
Nope,
chemicals?
go right
or-
ahead.
No, but honestly, the most effective means of controlling them are, at least from my anecdotal evidence from clients I've had who have serious gardens who have got a lot invested in it, is hiring one of those services who catch them and trap them and take them away. But
It costs a lot of
it
money.
costs a lot because they charge by the mole, and sometimes they keep. I mean, they'll collect. I mean, dozens of, if not, lots of moles off one property, and then they have to
Because
they keep
if
coming
they-
back
yeah,
and
they
filling
keep
the
coming
void.
back.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
and like we said, dogs too. I always say dogs are there.
Yes.
Dogs do their thing.
Now, we've all heard the story of juicy fruit.
Yeah, I tell people because that's like
It's-
supposedly you chew it and you put it down. Are you unchewed or
I don't even know.
you put it down? I can't remember.
I think it's you just put a strip of juicy fruit gum. There is no scientific evidence that says that does anything. I know I've come across people that swear by it. They said, "Oh, it's kept moles out of my yard for 5 years." There is no scientific evidence that says juicy fruit gum does anything for the moles. They're not attracted to it. It's not like they're going to chew it and it gets, they can't digest it. To my knowledge, and I have searched this, there's no extension publication that says anything about gum that it works.
It's an urban, not an urban legend,
It
a
is an
rural
urban
legend.
legend. Yes. So,
So don't make a mountain out of a molehill.
exactly.
So some of the benefits of moles that we talked about before.
And this is what I don't think people really they want to think about. They don't want to give moles any credit because of the damage that we see
Yeah,
with the
because they are
tunnels,
part of the ecosystem.
They are.
So they're eating those pesky grubs
which I mean, they are taking
and some
care
other
of it.
lawn insects.
And a lot of other lawn insects, yes. They're aerating the soil. So when they make those tunnels, it is actually aerating the soil, which helps that soil to dry out in the spring when it's really, really wet.
Allows organic matter to penetrate deeper in the soil because it is mixing things up. So like
Exactly.
you said, they're doing those higher tunnels and those low tunnels. And so when they connect those two, they're driving that nice, richer material down into the lower parts of the soil.
And we think about, all that topsoil that's right on, like right below that turf level. That's all being then incorporated down into those tunnels.
That lower strata. Yeah.
Yes. And then, believe it or not, it helps move those subsoils closer up to the surface. And we don't ever really think about, but those subsoils are where the nutrients for the soils become available for our plants. So
Yes.
it really does help nutrients move around through that soil level. So as much as we don't like moles, and I'm right there with you, there are a few little benefits. If there's a silver lining, we got to focus
The
on
genius
that
of
sometimes.
creation, they're part of it. So
They are definitely part of it. Okay, so do you want to talk about another little critter?
I guess briefly talk about voles, and I used to never really understand what a vole was.
A lot of people think like field mice.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people think of as, they'll call them a field mice.
Because they look a lot like them. So if you see one scurrying, you think, oh, it's a mouse, but it's not.
No, they are not. They're not mice at all. They actually will, they may even use some of those upper level mole tunnels to travel in. They usually will go right underneath the sod level. So you're not going to see them in the summertime, but a lot of times when the grass grows dormant, you can see the trails.
And they are cute little guys, kind of little
They are.
chunky ground rodents.
So they're also going to be about that 5 to 7 inches. Their hair is just a little bit longer than what a mole's would be. They obviously do not have those big paddle feet that your moles have in the front.
And their tail. I guess why people think they have the mouse tail. That kind
It's
of
shorter than a mouse typically.
it's that naked tail like that.
It is a naked tail,
Yeah.
yes. They have teeny tiny little black eyes, and they're smaller than a mouse, and their ears are very close to their head because they are going through those tunnels. So
Almost comes look like a hedgehog with fur, kind of. I don't know.
much, much smaller.
Well, yeah, much smaller, but yeah.
And yeah, they have that fur. It's a little brown fur, so I mean they can be kind of cute-ish if you're looking at a mouse. But because like I said, because of those tunnels, those eyes are really, really tiny, and those ears are tiny too. So yep.
So they're herbivores. They eat seeds, leaves, stems of grasses, occasionally roots and bulbs. So they could be a problem in your garden.
Yes.
Yeah.
especially in the wintertime, because they will kind of gnaw on, those branches.
And tree trunks, they can gnaw on
Yes,
tree trunks
tree
and
trunks.
roots.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes they girdle large roots and tree trunks.
Yes. So they can be some
They
damage.
especially like to take advantage of spilled seeds from bird feeders, which so many opportunists do.
So, and the tunnels, like I said, they're kind of above ground. Now, they will use some of the mole tunnels, but the above ground tunnels right underneath that sod level, they'll actually use some of that stems of grass to actually cushion their tunnel with. And they'll make little nests, and they'll have them in their nest as well. So they're actually commonly known as a meadow vole.
So I guess that's what I'm seeing in the lower pasture a lot
Yes.
of times. I thought they were field mice, but
A
they're
lot of
probably more
people-
voles.
Voles do eat a very wide variety of plant material, and they do store food for fall and winter.
Interesting, like a chipmunk, I guess, or a squirrel.
Or, yes, like a squirrel or even a mouse. They'll,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah. So they'll have a little, kind of an area where they store a bunch of feed.
But they're active year round.
They are
and
active
don't
year round.
hibernate.
But remember, in the wintertime, when there's a lot of snow on the ground, there's not going to be a lot of extra food for them to eat. So they will have it stashed. So they, they prepare for winter. They do live in groups. So you're actually going to have several adults that live together in a burrow.
Okay.
They do breed year round. So they can have up to like 5 litters
Goodness.
a year.
That's a lot.
And they can have 5 young
3 to 5 young.
per litter, yeah. So the gestation period is only 21 days. So by the time they
Or 21.
they wean those, they're already ready to breed again.
That's fast turnaround.
It is. Yeah. But their lifespan is only 2 to 16 months.
Oh, wow.
So they may breed really quick, but they have a very short lifespan. So how do you get rid of them? So you can use like almost a mouse trap. And if you see the entrance to one of their tunnels, you can mix some peanut butter and oatmeal and put that on the mouse trap, and that will help eliminate them. If you also will get rid of like excess weeds and things that they can hide in or move without detection, that kind of eliminates, some of the problem. Avoid excess mulch around your trees and shrubs. If you leave an air gap, like a 2 to 3 inch air gap between the trunk of the tree and the mulch, it actually prevents them to be as active in gnawing that tree bark because they're out in the wide open. And because of hawks and fox and other animals that they can feed on those voles, they want to have a hiding spot. So that's why if you get rid of the excess weeds, things that they can move undetected in, and then also, keeping that mulch away from the tree trunk, that will help eliminate some of that mold damage.
If you do want to use chemicals and use a rodenticide, be cautious that obviously other animals aren't exposed to it or attracted to it, like dogs and cats.
Yes. Yeah. And again, it's kind of, the label is the law, and if you find a rodenticide that you're going to use, make sure that you use it according to the label, and make sure that it is not in an area where dogs or cats can get it. If you put it underneath a 5-gallon bucket where they can tunnel underneath the bucket and get it themselves, but it's not out in the open for dogs or cats to get it, it's protected underneath that bucket, that's a good way of using it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to say about the little voles is, and this is a side note, according to the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife webpage. So I just happened to come across this, and I thought it was really interesting that there is a species of voles. Now, it's primarily in eastern Kentucky, but it's only in eastern Kentucky that you can find the Kentucky red-backed vole. This is a subspecies of the southern red-backed vole. So we don't really have it necessarily in this western or central Kentucky part of the state, but that is the only place that Kentucky red-backed vole is known to be. So,
Redback vole.
Yep.
That's right.
It's not a redneck.
I was going to say Kentucky rednecks, Kentucky redbacks.
It's a redback. Yep. But I thought that was very interesting that, we do have a species of voles in Kentucky that is only found here, nowhere else in the world.
One of Kentucky's species of greatest conservation need. So
Yep.
trying to protect
It is. So I know that there's lots of other critters out there, but I think we've covered quite a few for today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about deer, but I think we're going to do a whole podcast.
Deer's going to need a whole podcast
that's
of its own.
Yeah, that's the number one question other than voles.
And I think we're going to maybe throw in, we can talk about rabbits and chipmunks and squirrels. And I mean, the list goes on and on, but I don't know that we want to be here for days on end. So if we talk, we hit the highlights on these three, we'll take another day to do the other ones.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening to Gardening with the Gardeners. Please subscribe or follow to get the newest episode updates.
And please help us get the word out about our new podcast by dropping a rating and review. This would really help us, so please try to do that. If you have any questions on landscape, gardening, or horticulture, please send them to gwtg@boonegardener.com. That's Gardening with the Gardeners, GWTG. And don't forget, Gardner has an I in it, so GARDINER.
Thanks for listening to Gardening with the Gardeners, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.